Hello there, amazing viewers and subscribers, and welcome to a brand new Doctor Who topic video for today. So as you can see in my background, I've kind of got a brand new poster, okay, of the War Games from Doctor Who magazine, which came in this issue for June. Basically, it came out in April, but it's June's, it's still available now. So, welcome to this new Doctor Who video, and I want to talk about why you should get the Doctor Who Chronicles that come out every now and again. So, next month we have got the next issue, which is, of course, issue 8 of the Doctor Who Chronicles, 1963 to 1964. And the thing is, though, the reason that you should really get these Chronicles is because you have got fantastic pages of information about what went into these seasons. You got interviews, a bit like the Doctor Who magazines, I have to admit, and it also tells you some of the Doctor Who merchandise that came out during that time. These Doctor Who Chronicles are absolutely amazing because, one, it tells you bits and dabs of episodes, that we haven't got existing because they are missing in the archives. And then, of course, later on, when we get to the 70s, it's still kind of interesting to find out what happened in the world of Who in the years like 1964, 1965, 1973, 1975, and onwards. It's really interesting to find out what came out for Doctor Who during the merchandise of those years. So, the reason I also like these Chronicles, it also tells you, like, the viewing figures and all that lot as well. Like, say if we go to here for Hartnell, which is basically 1965, it tells you like stuff you didn't know about the episode, what is the highest rating, like episode 2, 13 million of course, the Chit of the Rescue, and it was broadcast from the 2nd to the 9th of January. And it does tell you bits and more dabs like that as well, as you got merchandise, story, it's like the chase. And of course, you have little documentaries about Daleks in Manhattan, when the Daleks went into Manhattan during the chase, when they were chasing after the first Doctor in and Barbara. And of course, you have the picture of the Daleks hybrid, which happened years later. And it also tells you stuff about like Dalek media and everything else that happens, like for Galaxy 4. So far in this little run, we've got 7 magazines of great epic years. So we have the very first one that came out was, of course, 1965. Now, the thing is, though, these do come out randomly, but you collect them and they literally tell you on the spine, and they all line up really, really nice. So as you can see, we have 1965, including the last, the Jodie Whittaker logo. So we've got 1965 here. 1967, and it also tells you the stories what happened in 1967, like for the Macra Terror, the Faceless Ones, the Evil of the Daleks, the Tomb of the Cybermen, the Ice Warriors, and of course Yeti, the Abominable Snowman. So it tells you a bit more, and it literally is filled with so much information. Like, look at that. With that, I love that, all that artwork with Hartnell with the companions, like when they were then. I absolutely love the way how it tells you about the special effects that they took to make it as well. And then of course we do have 1973 for Jon Pertwee, which is, of course, was the year of season 10 and of course the first episode of season 11, which is, of course, that's why you got pictures of Omega. You've got a Draconian, you've got an Ogron and a Dalek, and at the back it even shows you some more pictures from that iconic year, as this was the show's 10th anniversary, as it was the big 10 years of Doctor Who. Now we are about to celebrate the 60th. And it also doesn't just tell you stuff like that as well, it tells you like what came out during those points and what was going on in the media of Who. And it also tells you a bit more about Carnival of Monsters, like for episode 2, it actually reached 11.0 million, and then of course for the highest possible charts, 20th place. How good's that? As well, it tells you more about the special effects that you have in 1973. Then of course you have the very first issue, I believe this was, which was, of course, 1975. The year of Tom Baker with his very first season. And of course we do have that fantastic picture that was taken for the promo shot of Genesis of the Daleks. And like you got stuff like that as well. And also bits and dabs about what, like I said, like what came out during the year, that year for merchandise. And of course we have 1983. And then this is the current one. This only came out back in March, February, March. And it is the one that came out last, which is of course 1988. It's good to have a bit of a Sylvester McCoy chronicle in the shelf, and it does tell you more about like the production of the stories, like what came out in 1988, like the KFC Doctor in the TARDIS, as well as the CD novel, the tape novelization of Genesis of the Daleks, and of course, what the VHSs came out in 1988, because the VHSs did came out at that point. So we had Day of the Daleks, we had the Robots of Death, Terror of the Zygons, and the Talents of Wing Chang, including 1988. We had another version of the Five Doctors, and I believe that's the rarest version of the Five Doctors out there, as well as Spearhead from Space. Also telling you how the making of the Happiness Patrol, like for the Candyman, with the other stories that came out in that year, and of course bits and dabs about the Target novelization, where we had Time and the Rani for 1988's Target book. Fantastic stuff came out in 1988, didn't it, for Doctor Who? So yeah, these chronicles are brilliant. And then of course, when you get to one of the current Doctors, basically from Modern Who, which is David Tennant for 2007, it also tells you the build-up for Series 3, what came out during that point. I mean, look at that. Who remembers all them? Who remembers collecting all this Doctor Who merchandise? I remember. I really do. The one thing I never collected was, of course, that, and I wish I did. I really wish I did collect that. And, of course, Doctor Who t-shirts that used to come out back in the day. This brings back a load of my childhood. As well as a remote control Dalek, as you can see there, which I have got here. Come here, little fella. Well, sorry. Let me just move the 11th Doctor. So this came out in 2007. Yeah. And as you can see there. So this little run of Doctor Who magazines, it is absolutely brilliant. And I really do think you should get these because, one, if you want to know what came out during the time where we weren't even alive, like people like me, I'm only 27 years old. Well, yeah, from next week, I'm going to be 27 years old. And this is an absolute brilliant way to find out what came out in the 60s, the 70s, and of course the 80s, which are now called vintage. And then of course we have stuff from 2007, and basically that's kind of vintage now. So you could say a vintage Dalek and a vintage, yeah, you could actually say that. So yeah, this is why I really think you should really get the Doctor Who Chronicles issues in the line from the makers of Doctor Who magazine. I believe you can order these on that website if you haven't got them. So I'm trying to hold that up for you. If you want to, just message me and I can give you the website if you are interested in getting these chronicles. The next issue is of course 1963 to 1964, where it tells you some of the stuff that was going on in the kickoff kind of start of Doctor Who, because we had season 1 airing back then in between 1963 and 1964 from, as we all know, 23rd of November 1963 to the 12th of September 1964 for season 1. And then of course in October we had the kickstart to season 2. So yeah, if you're interested in getting these little Doctor Who Chronicle magazines, I highly recommend them because, one, they are brilliant. Two, it's really great to look back at the history of what came out in the year of Doctor Who. So, like for the year 2007, we had Series 3 airing as well as the Christmas special known as the one of Voyage of the Damned. So yeah, thank you for watching. Please do like, subscribe and share, and let me know if you do collect these Doctor Who Chronicles, what do you think of these? Because I think these are amazing, and I definitely do think that people should actually get these if you want to find out what came out during that time of Who. Thank you for watching, and have a cracking day.